What's poppin', y'all? Kendrick Lamar and Dave Free are on another one. And we had to cover this because they dropped a new artist with a new album, and we've got some botting allegations. So first off, I'm going to cover who this artist is. The name of the artist is Imani, and she is signed to PG Lang, which is the company that Kendrick Lamar started in partnership with Columbia, separate from TDE. And Dave Free helps run it. Now, they do different distribution deals because PG Lang signed Tana Leone, who dropped an album in 2022. He was the guy off of Mr. Morale, the song Mr. Morale on that album too. He was on there and they dropped his project, and his project released under Def Jam. So that was Def Jam PG Lang. This new artist is PG Lang Interscope, which interestingly enough, Kendrick Lamar Interscope is where he is signed underneath, or partnership, whatever you want to call it. The first interesting piece of news is that this individual released her debut project on a Wednesday. Usually people drop on Fridays. And I think this was already an interesting release. Number two, we have no information on this person. This is the first 0 monthly listeners launch. And the first tweet that I came across was the following tweet. PG Lang signed an artist, developed her for years behind the scenes, dropped her debut off cycle on a Tuesday, and used the signing announcement as a promotional vehicle. This approach is so rare, it's breaking people's brains. So when I saw this, I was like, who the hell are these? Who is this guy talking about? And even scrolling through the comments or replies, I couldn't see who they were talking about. And what I'm guessing that he's saying it broke people's brains is people considering this an industry plant. So let's first get this out of the way. This is not an industry plant. If you think somebody being signed early on is an industry plant, you're an idiot, you're a fool, and you're just stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Industry plant was really a term that came across in the past decade, in the 2010s, when independence became not only viable, or it was always viable, but a lot of ease of access to independence, and it became more valued by the listener. So the listeners valued independence more than an artist that was signed. So being signed was kind of like, we'd rather listen to the independent guys. And what did record labels start to do? They said, okay, say less. We're going to sign somebody and make them look independent. That's not what's happening here. So industry plant was somebody that was signed. I can't believe I have to reiterate this every time because this is the most misinterpreted label of all time in music from what I've gathered. So this girl is not an industry plant, right? Let's get that out of the way. And then I just decided to do a little bit of checking in on this person. And the first thing I see is the project drops, and then I see a random account replying to it and saying, already tons of theoretic gams, I FUCC. She's my fave. I ride with PG Lang and TDE till I die. What's up, Imani? 100 emoji. I'm just like, my radar is going off. So I decide to open up this person's account. Well, this person's account has 4 tweets, really just 4 replies. There's one other reply. You can look up this account yourself. It's joined March 2026, no activity or anything. And it's got 4 posts, and it's a huge fan of this Imani individual. Come on, dog. And I tweeted, Kendrick Lamar's label is never beating the botting allegations. Now, do I, in my opinion, believe that they're botting this? In short, in my opinion, yes. But do I have a problem with it? No, I actually like it. And that's why I want to cover more of the macro of this, because I think this is brilliant. I like what they're doing here, but I'm not going to sit around and pretend that I'm in the confusion with everybody else like every other idiot. I'm not doing that. I'm not sorry, actually. Because what happened was, first off, Chart Data posted this, and it said, Imani has released her debut album, Paper Cut, under PG Lang. Someone replied this underneath. And you can see that this has 1.2K likes in 5 minutes. Now, a lot of people follow Chart Data, but the way that algorithms work, especially now, it's a For You page. So Chart Data could post a random artist and nobody's going to like it. It will get no views and it will get no likes because it's just not going to reach. They show it to a couple of people. If there's enough interest, it spreads. In this scenario, I believe that they are botting, in my opinion, they're botting the engagement to these tweets, which I believe are paid. So I believe the Chart Data tweet was paid for. It is also my belief that Kirko was paid for. Kirko is like you could call Kirko the nucleus of where a lot of other pages get their information from. So it'll debut there. And this started when he would be the first to post Cardi stuff, and he became the go-to, and then Cardi snippets and Cardi leaks. And Kirko would post and say, PG Lang announces Imani as their newest signee with her new album, Paper Cut, out now. So yes, it's my belief that this post was also paid for. And there's an announcement alongside it. But this is the thing. This would not work as effectively had it not been a established brand. Kendrick Lamar, PG Lang. And why would they attempt to do this on X, first of all? Well, let me add this one more account. Another one is June 2026, a fan account suddenly comes out. And this account is based in South Africa as well. So I don't know why they're trying to build a big base in South Africa with South African accounts. I'm not sure. If you look at the replies, just do it yourself. Go to Imani's tweet when she talks about her or releases her album and go look through it yourself. Look where these accounts are from. Look at their tweet history and come to your own conclusion. But we have a number one Imani stan, day one. Really? And this person's just posting. So I'll tell you what this likely is. This is likely run by the label or an assistant or somebody that works with them. And this is smart. So the macro that you have here is you can blow up an artist in several different ways. But what they want for this artist, because they found her at some point in her career, who knows, when she was being developed. And they said, okay, throw out the rest of the music. We're going to build this girl up. And I think they realized the mistake from Doechii. Because I don't know how Dave Free was involved, how much he was involved with Doechii, because Doechii is TDE. But I think that they realized how much of a con it was that Doechii blew up so fast. They did not want her to blow. Well, they probably wanted her to blow up that fast, but they did not expect the blowback to be that high. So they said, okay, we need to build a base around this artist and get her like a cult-like fan base or at least a core fan base before we start scaling, because they've already put a ton of money into her. And why do they choose X as a platform? Well, for somebody that's attached to Kendrick Lamar in some regard, lyricism, this type of music, the hub for that is X. It's not TikTok. TikTok is if you want to have a smash single for your artist that's a new artist, and they're not really going to care about the artist. So you can't launch this person on TikTok. It doesn't really make sense. Or you'd run into a worse issue than Doechii, because at least Doechii had some sort of a base before. So they use X because Kendrick Lamar's stan base, they are very, very active on X. I mean, when I tweeted this, I started getting a bunch of attacks and just senseless responses where they're just like, oh, what are you trying to say? And it's like, dog, come on, let's be real here. That's a botted account. That's not a real person that's tweeting that. Just look at the way that the tweet is written. It's goofy, but they need to do this. Why do they need to do this? Because there's an expectation of anything associated with Kendrick Lamar or PG Lang of flopping. So they need to run defense. Now, do I believe that they would run up the numbers? You got to mix fake numbers with real numbers, especially if you're first blowing somebody up. This goes back to Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's manager was paying a couple of girls in the crowd in his early shows to pass out. Or no, actually not to pass out, to scream. Because other girls in the crowd would hear them scream and they would start to scream. So you've got to juice up the numbers a little bit. And if the numbers are just authentic, which they won't be high, because somebody that has no background, no story, no attachment from fans is never going to do numbers off the rip. So this will be judged by people that want this girl, this woman, whatever, I don't even know how old she is, to fail. And they will hop on that. And a lot of OVO, you could say, like there's these two weird factions that are going on X, and I only see it there. For the most part, that's where the peak delusion is, where people settle into their groups. So they'll start clowning the numbers, and then now you kind of have a DOA project on arrival. And you don't want that situation. So they got to cook the numbers a little bit. And then now it's being talked about by everybody. Like you have me talking about this. I listened to the first two tracks. I didn't finish listening to the whole project because frankly, it doesn't matter. The project doesn't matter because I'm more interested and motivated to talk about the macro decision making in launching an artist like this, because I think that's a lot cooler than some good music. There are a lot of artists who make good music that I listen to on a regular basis. Like me just talking about music, that's never been my thing anyway. So whoever has that expectation, push it on somebody else. Now, where they go from here, I'm not too sure. But it's clear that they are messing around with different approaches. And I do think that this is a modern approach. Like, no record label is doing this. They're dropping. And of course, you need to put marketing dollars behind somebody. They are not hiding that this artist is signed to PG Lang. I would like to see her background, to be frank, because when we don't even have a storyline of where this artist came from, it's hard to get somebody invested. Like, yeah, they might like the music, but they want to know what happened before you got signed to PG Lang. A lot of that matters. And they'll probably curate some heroic luck-based story of like, oh, you know, she was just doing her thing. Like, you remember that joke that they tried to tell us about Baby Keem, where Baby Keem got on the Black Panther soundtrack because he sent a beat pack to TDE email. Like that. They're probably, please, whoever's working on this girl, do a better job than that. Give us a more believable story, because that story was a joke. Meanwhile, the guy's his cousin the entire time. Yeah, he sent a little beat pack over, and it was just one of many producers that got chosen to be on the Black Panther soundtrack. Multiple songs on the Black Panther soundtrack. Hilarious. But I'm interested in seeing how this chick develops. The first artist, Tana Leone, he didn't make it out of the orbit, or didn't make it out of the atmosphere, you could say, because his last project dropped 2022. What has he been doing since then? That's 4 years ago. He dropped a song in 2024 that doesn't even have 100,000, and it seems like he got dropped because the song he dropped in 2024 was just under license to Def Jam. There's no PG Lang on it anymore. So after 2022, it looks like they just tossed him to the side. And I'm not saying that's Kendrick Lamar's fault or anything. When you get an opportunity like that, you kind of got to run it up on your own and do your own thing, which is what another artist ended up doing. This guy, Grip, if you guys remember him, he was on an album with... There's two. There's West Side Boogie, who just went by Boogie for a long time. And he was on an Eminem album, I think. And so was Grip. And Grip, he eventually had to do his own thing. And I think he's doing his thing independently. He hasn't dropped since 2023. But yeah, he's got a couple 100,000 monthly listeners, which isn't far off from Tana Leone. And Tana Leone got a more recent supporting than Grip did, because Grip got an Eminem feature, actually, and that was in 2021. So that was 5 years ago, which it's a great project, by the way. So if we want to bring this back into music, Grip, for this 2021, amazing album. This is such a slept on project. This guy was signed to Shady Records. So you guys should check that out if you haven't. Really good artist. Boogie, I can't speak on. I haven't listened to West Side Boogie in a very long time, but he's somebody that's managed to have a consistent career despite having a little bit of a hiccup after the Shady situation. And yeah, Shady definitely, I don't think they're equipped for the modern era, but PG Lang, clearly they are. And I don't have an issue with them potentially, allegedly using bots, because it's just the nature of the game. They do it for you guys because, like I said, if you guys see somebody that's got no motion and they're signed to PG Lang, what you're going to do is clown like, yo, they dropped an album and this tweet got 8 likes or it got 25 likes. So they're also pressing all of their media sources, like all of these personalities. If you see people on X gassing this artist, just know that they're TDE aligned in terms of, or TDE, PG Lang. You can tell their opinion. You won't see anything positive about Drake. Whereas, like, let's just take me, for example, right? I'm not aligned to anybody anywhere, but you'll see me talk about Drake is amazing. You'll see me talk about Kendrick hasn't really done much, but I like GNX, and I said Kendrick Lamar won the beef, which is more than you can say for any OVO fan. Like, these guys still are in delusion about the guy winning or losing the beef. You know, I say Drake is a sucker for that lawsuit. I don't care what comes. I don't care if he gets $1 billion. I don't care if he gets $1 trillion, to be frank with you. It's like saying like, yo, Gucci Mane told because, you know, he's an adult now. No, Gucci Mane was telling people that he would never tell in his entire life, and he was a big bad gangster. So there is no scenario where we're co-signing Gucci Mane telling. So yeah, just a little bit of a touch-up on that artist. I hope they can develop her. I hope they don't blow her up too quickly. That is a dangerous spot you don't want to be in. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.